Fred Wilpon, the former owner from Brooklyn, grew up with Larry King and also Sandy Koufax, okay? The great Sandy Koufax, the Dodgers pitcher, all right? Sandy and Larry King and Fred Wilpon, they all grew up in Brooklyn. And luckily for Sandy, he was a Brooklyn Dodger, okay? And then when the team moved to Los Angeles, Sandy went with them, of course, and he had one of the great careers of all time, all right, of any pitcher, the great left-hander. So Fred Wilpon, all three of them, of course, remained friends. I would see Larry King at Shea Stadium. First time I saw Larry King, 2006, I see him on the field before Mets-Dodgers playoff game, and I'm like, oh, snap, this is Larry King. He has these two young kids with him, and I start talking to him. I asked him if I could interview him. He says, no problem. So I'm interviewing the great Larry King, who is I always see interviewing people, and now I'm interviewing him. And Larry King is the one who tells me about how he and Sandy Koufax and Fred Wilpon grew up together and were friends, because I'm like, what is Larry King doing here at Shea Stadium? And Larry tells me, of course, he's from Brooklyn, and Larry King ended up moving out to L.A., all right, because big media guy, star, had to move out there, and that's where the Dodgers moved. And Larry King remained a Dodgers fan. He told me that every time the Dodgers come to New York to play the Mets, he comes and flies out to see his buddy Freddie. He said Freddie, and that was his man. So that's why he was there. I interviewed him. He told me about how he interviewed Jackie Robinson before Jackie passed away and all this, and how he was at Jackie's first game, okay, at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn, 1947. All right. One of my most cherished interviews with Larry King. And then the following season, the Dodgers come back to play the Mets in the regular season, and I look up, and there's Larry King again on the Shea Stadium field with his sons there to see his boy Freddie and watch his Dodgers against the Mets. So Fred Wilpon, he grew up a Dodgers fan, all right, as did all of them, and it meant a lot to him to own the Mets, and he did not want to let the Mets go. All right, so the Mets fans suffered for years as the owner was very frugal. But finally, all right, he sold the team. He gave up. The fans were in uproar for years over him. They wanted him gone. You're competing with the Yankees in New York City. You can't be a frugal team. The Yankees are winning big every year, making the playoffs, going out there trying to get the best players, and the Mets fans know whenever the best players come available, we can't get them because our owner is not going to spend. Well, you know what? The last 2 or 3 years, that's over with, because now they have Steve Cohen, who came into Mets ownership as the richest owner in professional baseball. And he is a Mets fan, all right? And he wants to win. And when you want to win, and also when you come in here with that kind of money, Mets fans want to win, period. Like, you can say whatever else you want to about anything else. The bottom line is all Mets fans want to see is wins, all right? And so in order to win, to be competitive immediately, ASAP, which is what Mets fans wanted and expected from the Mets with Steve Cohen as the owner, you got to spend, all right? You got to overpay some players, and that is what led to the Mets having this payroll that is so much higher than everybody else's, and they're not getting the results right now because the Mets are the victims of overpaying for the best of a weak crop of available players. That's pretty much what it comes down to.